And so John begins his gospel writing about John. Not himself, the writer, but this John, the camel fur-clad one, eating giant locusts and sucking sap from trees in the wilderness, baptizing hundreds of followers into a radically new life. This John has gone crazy with prophetic imagination. Growing up a faithful Jew, John the Baptist had witnessed the confusion among religious leaders of his day, who were hanging on to the words of old scriptures, where God admonished Jews to follow every commandment if they hoped to keep their promised land. But those words were written hundreds of years before, when people were still acting like they were, in the Stone Ages, killing people for pleasure, treating wives like they were mere objects. There were no such thing as moral laws then. So, like a good teacher, God gave them lots of laws to practice. But laws were just the first step. Just like notes on a music sheet, laws serve as the foundation to greater spiritual heights. Then, in each new era, as the world changes, as we change, God's expectations of us change. And at that time of change, of new expectations, we seek those with prophetic imagination to reveal it to us. Which brings us back to John. You see, John understood all this, and so wasn't afraid to look outside the box, which is how he knew someone radically new was on the horizon. This one coming would teach us how to imagine everything differently, how to take spiritual risks, make political sacrifices, how to live happily on the margins of society. He would teach us that only by dying will we find life. John, in his full abandon for this one who was coming, embodied this whole movement. But the religious leaders react against this call to reckless spiritual sacrifice. Their concern for political retaliation and social alienation constrain them, and their fear becomes a fundamentalism that holds them blind to the one that is coming, the light. But John knows that the light has to be cast into the darkness in order to overcome it. Life in the confines of religious laws and personal piety only shed light on the shadows, not the heart of darkness where the true force of evil lies. With prophetic courage, John is willing to stand alone and make the statement that it's not about him. It's about becoming a part of something so much bigger. It's not about proving he's right or better than anyone, not about making a name for himself and proving he's worth heaven. He knows he's not even worthy to untie the sandals of the one who is light. John is simply living a prophetic imagination, and the same imagination we are called to live today. Do you see people constrained by their fear today? Do you see fundamentalism building walls against our moral imagination, against what is possible? Do you scratch your head and wonder why? It doesn't make sense. Why is religion so against change? It's simple, really. Humans struggle between faith and fear all the time. We need others to show us how to live with courage, to show that life is actually gained when we abandon ourselves for the sake of peace. John the Baptist had no hesitation doing that, and we're grateful for his witness. But today, we need to live that again and again. We need courageous people to rise up and give us hope and help us see again that another world is possible. Always remembering it's about the world that is not our own. We share it. And by understanding this moral principle, we may find ourselves truly having the faith to give our whole selves to it. And that's the good news for today.